Do you have a watch that needs a strap with a notch? I'm talking about watches like this Casio Royale or the Timex Q. There's also watches like the Christopher Ward 12 or the Tissot PRX, and a whole range of others. Buying a new watch for these straps can be quite difficult because of that notch. Now what I mean by notch is if we look at the back of this watch, the strap where it comes out is wider than the fitting. So the lug width on this watch is 18mm, but the actual strap width is 22mm. So you need to notch or cut out a small piece of the strap to get it to fit. It's the same on the Casio Royale. This one is 18mm, but up to 24mm. So a bit of a wider strap down to something smaller. Finding a replacement for these watches can be a real headache. You either need to find a specialist store that happens to make a watch strap to fit your exact watch, or you go back to the original brand. But doing that can really limit your choices. So if your heart is set on a certain material or a look that you want, you might just be out of luck. This is where a little bit of DIY comes in, because you can actually take a perfectly normal watch strap and simply cut it to fit. I've got two techniques to show you today for this. The first one, we're going to need a very sharp knife. I'm going to be using this craft knife. It's got a brand new blade on it, which is exactly what we need for a clean finish. You'll also need a cutting board, a spring bar tool, and something to make a mark with. You can also use this. Now this is low-tack painter's tape, and I'll show you exactly how to use this in a little bit. Honestly, it is a godsend, and it's absolutely perfect for our needs. Now for the second technique, we're going to be using a specialist tool that I'll show you a little bit later on. So before you begin cutting up the straps, there are a few important things to remember. You're about to cut into a watch strap. Now some of these can be pretty expensive, so you don't want to make any mistakes. If you're unsure about anything, I highly suggest you practice on an old cheap strap first to make sure you've got the technique down. There are also a few types of strap you shouldn't notch. Avoid straps with stitching too close to the lugs like this one. When it's notched, that stitching simply won't look right and it can seriously weaken the actual build of the strap. And also, if your strap has quick release spring bars, which is totally fine, but you will need to remove them before you start. Now I'll leave a link in the description to show you exactly how to remove those. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get started. Here I have the Casio AE1200 World Time, also known as the Casio Royale. But before we begin cutting, we need to measure the watch and its bracelet. The easiest way to do this is to get that bracelet removed. So let's grab your spring bar tool and take this off. You'll need three measurements. You'll need the overall width of the strap, the width of the notch, and also the depth of the notch. I always prefer to measure the original strap or bracelet rather than the inside lugs of the watch. It just makes it a little bit easier to get things perfect. For the world time, as you can see, let's have a look. The overall width is 24.6mm. The width of the notch is just under 18mm, and then the depth of the notch is, let's have a look, about 4mm. So the strap width you'll need is that 24.6mm. I'll be using a 24mm strap. If you go to 25mm, it'll overhang and look unsightly. And that 0.3mm difference on either side won't be noticeable at all. I have two straps here that I'll be using. One is the Pebro Artisan and the other is our own Watch Obsession Crazy Horse. Both have stitching along the back, but it is far enough away that it won't affect the notch. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is if you just pop your painter's tape right against the edge strap like this. I always go on the back just in case the tape does mark the strap at all. You can wrap it around, or like I'm about to do is just cut the edge of the tape off like this. Once you have that, you can easily mark the strap by placing the original strap or bracelet on there. And then you get a fine pen or a sharp pencil and simply draw around the notch. Like that. So that is where you're going to want to cut. So to cut this, start on the outside here and work your way in. Sorry, my head's going to get in the way a little bit, and work your way in nice and slowly till you hit the edge of the notch. Then do the same thing, working your way in, keeping the blade as straight as possible until you hit the edge of the notch there. And when you don't go too far. You can see I've already cut through the tape, so I'm not too far away from getting through. Should be able to just pull that off. Oh, there's a little leather thread holding that on. Just be nice and careful when cutting this, because the last thing you want to go is go too far on either side. But if you just take your time with it, one little bit at a time, you'll end up with a really nice, clean notch like that one. And repeat that for the opposite side. And you have, once you've taken your tape off, a nice, clean notch. What you can do is you can grab your watch, pop that on, and look at that. That looks absolutely spot on. I'm really happy with that. So repeat that for the other side. I'm actually using the same template, as you can see, and this way I know it's going to be exactly the same on both sides. So there we are, that's the second one done, and let's just test that by popping it into place. I'd say that's fairly perfect. Nice. Okay, so let's refit this using new spring bars. And that's now done. I've got a brand new strap for my Casio, and I actually think it looks really great. But if, like me, you love changing your straps constantly, you're going to want a quicker way of doing this. Now, there is a special tool I mentioned earlier. Sorry to jump in, I just wanted to tell you about Watch Obsession. We've been a go-to store for watch enthusiasts since 2010, specializing in premium watch straps with over 1,000 styles to choose from. You'll also find tools, accessories, and a collection of pre-loved watches to help you fuel your obsession. Okay, let's get back to the video. These are notch cutting pliers. They create a beautifully smooth, clean cut in a leather strap. They come in a few different sizes like 1.5mm and 3mm, which is what I have here. The size you need depends on the size of the cut. To figure that out, all you need to do is check the difference in the width of your straps. So for the Casio World Time, we're going to use a 24mm strap to fit into an 18mm lug. That's a total difference of 6mm, which means we're going to have 3mm on each side. And that's why we're using the 3mm pliers. Let's head back to the bench and I'll show you exactly how they work. So if I just show you on the strap that we just cut, what we're essentially doing, as you can see, that's a perfect fit there. What we're doing is we're getting the notching pliers, putting them into place, and then squeezing to cut, which really leaves you with a nice clean edge. So we're going to do that with this, which is our own Crazy Horse watch strap. So what you want to do is you want to get your strap and your pliers and simply pop that on into place. Line it up right with the very edge of the strap. That's important, otherwise you end up with little stringy bits right at the edge that you didn't quite get. Right at the edge there, a nice, quick, clean pull. And then repeat for the opposite side. And there we go. So that's a nice, clean cut on both sides. So if we just get our watch, we can pop this one in place, and as you can see, it's absolutely perfect. I think that's really good. And there we go. Both straps are now fitted to the watch, and I think they look absolutely brilliant. Obviously, using the pliers is quicker and a little bit easier, but if you're only planning on doing a couple of watches, a craft knife is cheaper and works perfectly fine. I'm really happy with how these two turned out for the watch, but let me know what you think. Which option would you go for? Are you team knife or team pliers? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to check out watchobsession.co.uk for all the tools I've used today. I'll leave links to everything down in the description. And if you want to see more watch tutorials, check out the Watch Workshop playlist. And please subscribe to the channel to stay updated. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.